Hi, Robyn. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your willingness to share your story. Congratulations on the birth of your baby. We first began a relationship in 2011 to treat your depression. Can you give us some background as to why you sought help for your depression?
I think my depression probably came out around when I first went to college. That's when I really truly noticed it. So it probably went undiagnosed for about 2 years until I finally admitted that I needed help. And when I needed help, I went to go see so many different psychiatrists and psychologists to try to help me through this era in my life. And I just didn't feel how I used to feel. I felt empty. I remember driving to work on my way to Katy, and I would be crying on the way to work every morning. I would cry sometimes the whole weekend. And I just remember my life not being filled the way that it had been before, the way that I knew it could be filled.
The good news is we were able to manage your depression with several medications. What were some of life's accomplishments now that you finally were living life without depression?
I started realizing that I was living a life without depression when I didn't think about my happiness all the time. I finally got to this point where I would look back after a month and think, I didn't think at this moment was I happy or not happy. I noticed that my relationships with different individuals had just improved drastically. I wanted to go out again. I wanted to be a part of my family again. I could drive to work without crying. I could be engaged with my kids in my classroom without feeling down. And my relationship with my husband, at that point my boyfriend, improved so much. Like, I didn't have as much anxiety about the relationship. I felt like I could fully be me. And so it was at that point that I felt this joy and this happiness that I hadn't fully felt for a long extended period of time, in about 5 years, I would say.
So last summer, you and your husband decided to start a family. Can you share with us the concerns you had about becoming pregnant and about being on multiple medications?
I had a few concerns about becoming pregnant because I was so fearful that being on the medications that I were on was going to hurt the development of my child. I remember telling my husband that we got married in May and I was ready to have a baby right away, but I didn't feel comfortable getting pregnant on the dosage that I was on with my medication. And so I talked with Dr. Cress, and she came up with this wonderful plan to try TMS. And so I did TMS throughout the summer. And then from there, we were able to decrease my medication amount from 120 milligrams to just 30 milligrams. At that point, my depression was still extremely well managed. I was not having any difficulties at all when it comes to my depression and my anxiety. And I told my husband that I was comfortable at that point to try to conceive a child. And so we tried, and we were successful. And throughout my pregnancy, I really didn't have any complications at all. I felt extremely comfortable with the level of medication I did have. And my son went full term, and he came out to be a beautiful and healthy baby boy.
What appealed to you about TMS therapy, and what were your hopes as you began treatment?
My hopes for TMS therapy before I even started was that I could decrease the level of medication I was on, and that I could decrease the number of medications I was taking. I was scared that maybe my body would become immune to the medications I was currently taking, and I was thinking, well, what if I can't find another medication that works? And so I was really hoping to decrease the amount that I was taking. That was my biggest goal. I was also hoping that with this, that I could live a stress-free life, that I wouldn't have the ups and downs that I had before.
What benefit did you see in having your depression well managed while starting a family?
Because my depression is well managed at this point, when I have a family now, I'm able to be fully present with my son. I'm able to be there in those moments of his life and not have to leave him and feel disconnected from him in any way. I'm able to be a great wife to my husband. I'm able to support him and really commit fully to our marriage. And I don't have to concentrate so much on how I'm feeling day in and day out, or having to fight this feeling of despair that I would feel. That is gone from my life. I'm able to fully commit to these relationships that are so important me, and I feel like I have the perfect little family. I love this season of my life, and I'm so thankful that before it started that I was able to get my depression under wraps.
Robyn, can you share what the actual experience was like receiving TMS therapy?
My TMS experience was wonderful. I drove to Sugar Land Monday through Friday, and I got there in the morning, and I was lucky enough to have Beth, and I had great conversations with her. She always made me feel extremely comfortable. I learned a little bit about her family, and she learned a lot about my life. And I felt comfortable. I looked forward to going to those appointments as well. And overall, it was just a fantastic experience. The TMS team and Dr. Cress were all wonderful and always treated me with such respect and kindness, and I absolutely loved seeing them every day.
In closing, can you share what the value of TMS was for your family?
After I completed my TMS therapy, my depression, I would say, was even better, even after we decreased the dose and we took me off of a medication as well. Before, I would still maybe have little bitty moments where I could kind of feel myself going low, but then after I had TMS combined with the lower dosage of my one medication now, I just didn't have those moments anymore, and I still haven't a whole year later. I don't have those moments of despair, of hopelessness, of thinking that life isn't worth living anymore. Those have all disappeared. And sometimes it's weird for me to think that I have changed that much within 1 year from TMS, but it's totally true. I can't even remember at times what it felt like to be depressed. And I'm so thankful for that. I finally have this sense of hope again in my life, and that this won't be a cycle that I will have to continue trying to beat every year. And I feel like I can continue to live my life depression-free because of TMS and Dr. Cress's